Greetings, fellow music nerds, and welcome to Season 9 of the Music Makers and Soul Shakers podcast. I am your host, Steve Dawson, coming to you from the Hen House Studio in Nashville, Tennessee. This season, I'll be taking you on a journey down the many rabbit holes in the process of making great music. I'll be speaking to instrumentalists, songwriters, producers, up-and-comers through legendary veterans, and we'll go deep into their history and their process of creating unforgettable music. This podcast continues to be listener-supported. You can help keep the show going with a Patreon subscription, and for as little as a few bucks a month, you'll support the show and get entered into our incredible giveaway that I'll be talking about throughout the season. You can get links to all this at makersandshakerspodcast.com. And if you can't do that, please subscribe for free to the show at Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That helps us out greatly as well. Meanwhile, a huge thanks to the main sponsors this season. Please check them out and let them know I sent you. They are Larrivee Guitars, Chase Bliss Pedals, Fab Filter, Odyssey Headphones, Railtown Mastering, Isotope, and the Hen House Hang. We absolutely could not produce this show without them. All right, thanks for tuning in. Let's get down to it with another episode of Music Makers and Soul Shakers. Hey, music nerds, welcome to episode number 180. This is part 2 of my conversation with the great guitar player Kenny Vaughan. If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, go back and listen to that. That came out a week ago, so you can download that now, and you can now hear part 2. Please support the show, as I mentioned, with the Patreon subscription. If you do, you will be entered into our grand prize, which is a Larrivee guitar, some Odyssey headphones, some Chase Bliss pedals, some Union Tube pedals. It is incredible. Isotope, it's all coming at you. It's just a few bucks a month to support the show. You can do that over at makersandshakerspodcast.com. All right, let's get into part 2 of my conversation with Kenny Vaughan. Here we go.
Talking about vintage guitars?
Vintage guitars.
Well, there was the Folklore Center was where all the folkies hang out, and there was a lot of vintage Martins and Gibsons in there, you know, acoustic guitars, and I was really impressed by all that. And there was a guy named Dave Ferretta, and he opened his own, he kind of broke apart, and he was the only guy I knew that could work on guitars. He was a grumpy folky.
Okay.
Like if it wasn't folk or bluegrass,
he's not.
It wasn't music.
Right.
You know, one of those guys.
Yeah, I know those guys.
Yeah. And so I would take my guitars in it, but he had electric guitars, like, you know, from the 40s and 50s and early 60s. He sold guitars, so he knew about the value of them, and the part of got to keep the store open, you know. The Folklore Center was a performance venue and a, you know, record place, and where you bought records, and they had instruments in there. But when he opened his own place, I used to go in there all the time and look at all the vintage stuff. And about the only one I really had, it was really good. It was a 61 345. I got there. It was pretty nice.
But you've never really, I mean, it seems like you've always
well, I was a poor musician, man. I couldn't afford that, you know?
Yeah.
I remember one time, Denver used to have a bunch of cool pawn shops downtown before urban renewal wiped them out in '69. But I remember playing an ES-150 Charlie Christian model in there, you know?
Yep.
I didn't know that's what it was, but I remember thinking, this is the coolest guitar I've ever played, you know, man? But I couldn't afford it. I still wish I would have bought it, you know. It's just like, wow, this thing is so great, you know.
It was probably like $1,000 or something in those
No,
days.
it was probably $500.
Oh,
but, you know, that was way out of my, you know, I was always, you know, I got kicked out of high school, never went to college. My parents left town. I was on my own, and I wasn't about to get a job. To me, that sounded like going to jail.
So you had to find cheap, cool guitars.
Yeah, you know.
I get it.
Yeah. But, you know.
So that Squire Strat you play now, tell me about that. So that's like a 70s or 80s?
83.
83. And what's great about it?
Everything.
Like what?
Well, I had a 66, and I think I like this one better. I like the neck better. Yeah, it's a little wider, it's just a...
Is it stock?
No.
What's not stock about it?
The pickups.
Okay.
One of them has some Don Mayer pickups, M-A-R-E. He was a West Coast guy that's sort of, if you say his name to people who know, they're all like, oh, you've got some of those.
Okay.
Wow. I haven't heard from him for a while. He might be dead because he was pretty old. He worked over at Lace Sensor for a while, but he told me when I bought those pickups from him, he says, you probably don't remember you called me one day when I worked at Lace Sensor. And I said, I did call. That was you? and what I was calling it because I had a guitar that I'd bought from Don Kelly.
Oh, yeah.
It was a Telly, but it had a Lace Sensor pickup that I thought sounded pretty good in the neck position. But the 2 E strings weren't as loud as the other 4 strings.
Okay.
So I called and I said, I think there's something wrong with this pickup. And there's this long pause, and he says, there's nothing different about that pickup than every other pickup we made. I said, but your E strings aren't as loud as the other 4 strings. He said, I'm aware of that fact. He was just working there. It wasn't his place, you know. Right. And he was kind of like reticent to talk much about it. He says, I'm fully aware of what you're talking about.
Okay.
There's nothing I can do for you.
Subtle.
But he's a character, man.
Yeah.
A nut, maverick kind of weirdo. But man, his Strat pickups are
So you've got a full set of those 3 pickups are all by him?
Yeah, okay. And the 84 and the 83 are Fender vintage noiseless pickups.
Okay.
They're magnificent.
Oh.
I never thought I would like something like that. I used to try noiseless pickups all the time, you know, and I never was happy. And I tried a set of those one day, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. These are amazing. They sound great. They work good in the studio, and if you're playing around, you know, a small studio, and the computer screen is over, you know, you're not going to have any problems. You know,
is there some sort of hum canceling wiring in there?
I have no idea. How
okay,
they make it. You can go down.
But they just look like regular Strat pickups, right?
Yeah, they're vintage noiseless Fenders. That's the ones I use, and I have those in quite a few guitars now because I love them. Because I just got, you step on your fuzz face and you turn down to get the clean sound, and it's, if single coil pickups, you can hear the buzz in some clubs, some studios. I mean, when I used to work over at Woodland, when it was a real studio, I mean, well, it's still a great studio, but when they were doing...
When it was a commercial place.
Yeah, commercial stuff. It was, you couldn't go in there with a single pickup.
Really?
You couldn't do it.
You're
just toast.
So crazy, yeah.
I mean, it was like, it wasn't going to happen. And that's why those guys started using those EMGs and all that kind of stuff, which I hated.
Active pickups.
I hated EMGs. I had some. I thought they were going to be great because they were quiet, but man, I could never shake hands with them.
Yeah, yeah. So you've got those Strats that are like 70s, 80s.
Yeah, that 79 Tokai is just so good.
Those are Japanese?
Yeah,
the Squires?
Fujijin factory, same factory that made the Squires.
Is that a particular era that's really good? Like if you find an
early
80s Japanese
from
Squire,
my experience is like 79 to 84.
Really?
Is what the target years are.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really good to know.
Yeah.
And is that the year that they because they sort of absorbed Tokai at some point, right?
I don't know.
Because I think Tokai, like they were going to sue them, but then they were like, well, why don't you just make guitars for us?
Yes. And that's... that's true.
They were kind of building Fenders better than Fender was at the time.
Way better.
Yeah.
If you want to be serious about it. I mean, they're infallible. They're so tight. I mean, on a couple of those guitars I have, you could probably just unscrew the 4 screws in the back, the neck plate, and the neck wouldn't move.
Wow.
The neck pockets are so tight.
Wow.
And those 2 Squires I have the 3-bolt system with the where you little Allen wrench so you can shim the neck to your liking.
Oh wow, cool.
And that was the problem with Fenders in the 70s. But it wasn't the design that was the problem. It was that they were so sloppy with their neck pockets, and the neck pockets were too loose.
Right.
And that's what didn't work.
Okay.
It wasn't people think, the 3-bolt system's wrong. No, it was the era that was wrong. The neck pockets weren't tight, and that system couldn't operate without, a tight neck pocket. Mm-hmm. So the Japanese guys fixed that immediately.
They nailed it.
Oh, we can make them more exact.
Yeah. So that's your preference for Strats. What about Tellys? Because you do play Tellys quite a bit too. Like, do you have?
There's so many good Tellys out there, man.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite that you tend to use with Marty Stuart, or do you kind of use?
I have a lot of different ones.
You do.
I like those Brad Paisley models because the pickup in the bridge position was modeled after one of those 63 pickups that they made accidentally. Apparently, according to Tim Shaw, he thinks that they did like about 600 accidentally. He thinks that the guy forgot to recalibrate the machine.
Really?
And he says it's the same amount of windings as a P bass.
Crazy.
And he's figured on one of those old machines that he didn't.
It just went
just
for a few days.
Forgot to,
Crazy.
And accidentally made. And they really are kind of legendary.
Wow.
They sound a little bit better to me. And Tim Shaw made that pickup for Fender.
Okay.
He's a genius. That guy, I love him.
Is he still there?
Yeah, he's just down the street, working right down there right now. He's working on some cool stuff too.
I bet. Do you have a signature model in the works or anything?
No, I don't have really any interest in being tied to one guitar. I have enough guitars. I got to get rid of the guitars. I had too many.
So tell me about the Marty Stuart gig. You've had that for 20, how many years?
25.
Is it 25?
Yes.
Wow. So you got it in 2000?
2001.
2001.
I think it's
Did you
24, 20.
Was it so you'd come to Nashville, you were playing with Sweethearts the Rodeo
yeah, that was
while.
I had lived in Chicago with my rock band.
Mm-hmm.
They call it a punk rock band. We weren't a punk rock band, but that was our audience.
Yeah, I understand.
But we weren't punks. And we were much more unpredictable than most punk rock bands.
Yeah.
We covered too many different styles, but we wrote our own songs. We do covers for fun, but mostly the meat of our program was our own tunes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I lived in New York City after that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I ended up back in Denver in the mid '80s, and I was working in a club that paid really good with a really great sort of countryish band. We had a good singer, could sing ballads. It was a cool band. It was cool music, and everybody was good. And we had this great gig. Well, I don't really want to go too far into that. We were overpaid, basically.
Okay.
Which was great.
Wow.
I couldn't afford to leave the gig,
Okay.
But there was a lot of, it was kind of a biker crowd, and there was, things got a little out of hand as far as drugs and stuff. And there was lots of contraband in that place, and I was like knowing I'd wake up every day thinking, I got to get out of this place, I got to go, but man, I can't afford to quit. I'm getting paid too much,
And getting overpaid is a rarity.
Yeah, well, there was a reason for that, but anyway, it was basically a money laundering operation, I think. But anyway, I got a call one day from this friend of mine, who I thought was in L.A., but he was calling me from Nashville. He said, "Man, I'm playing with this band, and we just fired our guitar player, and we got a tour opening for Alabama coming up, and could you come down and do the rehearsals and do it?" And I said, "Well, what does it pay?" And he told me, he said, "Oh wow, I've never been to the South. I've never been to Nashville. I'd kind of like to go down." And it was like a 3-week engagement, And I thought, I got to get out of Denver, And I said, "It sounds good." He says, "There's only one catch." I said, "What's that?" He said, "Well, rehearsal starts 3 days from now." And I said, "What the hell? I'll do it."
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So I got in my car with a couple of amplifiers and a couple of guitars and some clothes and a suitcase and drove down to Nashville. And we rehearsed at SIR for 2 days. And when it was still downtown.
And this was Sweethearts the Rodeo.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they were really nice.
Was Vince Gill in the band?
He was married to the one of the sisters.
Right.
There are 2 sisters.
Yeah.
He was married to one of those, but he was hanging around.
He was around.
Yeah. And in fact, I think I went to lunch with him the second day I was in town.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So was that like 1980 or something that you moved here?
87.
Okay. And you were with them for a good chunk of time.
5 years.
5 years. Wow.
They were the nicest people I've ever worked for in my life.
Wow.
They were clean cut, nice people. They were fun. They didn't have any serious problems or anything.
Did you have any issues like fitting into the Nashville guitar player thing at all?
No more than I've ever had issues fitting in anywhere else.
Okay.
I was used to that.
Yeah.
I mean, I looked like I look and playing in country bands in bars where I had to watch my ass when I left the place.
You didn't have to take any little left turns to fit in that band at all?
No.
Okay.
Because I played a lot of country gigs.
Did you get to cut loose in that band very much?
Yeah, they
let you go?
counted on me to do that.
Nice.
They wanted me to.
Yeah.
We had a couple of things where they wanted me to stretch out and blow.
That's cool.
I just played a gig with them the day after Thanksgiving. So much fun. We had a ball. They're nice people, really nice people.
So that gig, like that made you move to Nashville?
Yeah, because, halfway through the tour, they said, well, we said, are you going to go back to Denver? We keep doing the gig. I said, I'm in here as long as you want me. I enjoy being in Nashville. The first week I was here, there used to be this festival downtown called Summer Lights. And it was like 7 stages downtown, like in front of the courthouse and down up by TPAC there. They'd have, the streets shut off, and it was like a big festival, food vendors. And we were on the main stage, my first show with them. And I look and, there's Emmylou Harris watching me, and Roseanne Cass is watching me, and Vince Gill standing over there. I'm like, oh, fuck. Jeez. This is my first gig.
This ain't Denver.
It's like, yikes, But it was good for me.
Yep.
I was nervous as shit, but, And then the next show was 2 nights later at the Bluebird. I didn't know what the Bluebird was, but back in those days, the Bluebird was like
very different.
Quite
what it is
cool
now.
place. I saw all kinds of national acts in there that were not singer-songwriter people. I remember one time I was reading that back in those days, the Sunday paper had a list of all the clubs and what every night who was going to be there. And I'm looking at the Bluebird, the listings for the Bluebird, and Monday night, Tuesday night. So I look at it, Joe Clay. I was like, it can't be Joe Clay.
Yeah.
Not the real Joe Clay. It must be a different one. This is the guy that did "Don't Mess with My Ducktail."
Yeah.
Don't mess with my ducktail. I get so mad at you. It was like, from the 50s, a rockabilly record. And I thought, that can't be the same guy. And I'm sitting at my house the day of the, and I'm laying in, it's like 7 o'clock at night. I'm laying in bed watching TV, and I'm thinking, I got to go see if that's a real Joe Clay. And I go down there, and it's him.
Holy shit.
It's like Joe Clay on stage. And I talked to him afterwards. He was like working as a used car salesman or insurance salesman or something.
The Bluebird was always where it is now, right? Okay.
But they had all kinds of music in there.
Yeah. So at that time, were you gigging around Nashville with other people too, or was it mostly you just had that gig? And
just that gig. Okay. I didn't do too much. I started getting hired to do, back in those days, they had these showcase gigs where singer-songwriters would, hire all these players to do a showcase for a record label to try and get a deal. I got hired for some of that stuff.
And sessions, or were you not really?
Not too many.
Not till later.
That didn't happen until the 90s, really. I did some. My first session, Bill Vorndick was the engineer.
I knew Bill.
And it was really great.
He's one of the best.
Oddly enough, that was my first session, and I played on the last record he made before he died.
Which was what?
It was Ed Snodderly. I just played with him on Easter. He called me to play a session on Easter a couple of days ago. Wow. Me and Verlin Thompson and him cut 2 tracks. And they were amazing. He's so good. Yeah. I mean, we wrestled those things. It took us like 5 hours to cut 2 songs live. No click track or anything, no overdubs, just
straight off the floor.
Yeah, but it was great. What a great songwriter.
Yeah,
he's great lyricist, great singer, great picker. His finger picking monster. Really good, man. He's such a great guy. But it was that Snodderly and Bobby Field was producing, and it was great. And then I was out. I live in the neighborhood that Jerry Douglas lives in, and I was out in my front yard like 2 days or 3 days. No, a week later, after that session, and they were still working on the record, I think, or maybe they were just mixed it or whatever. But he drives by and he stops, and I say, "Hey, man, what's going on?" He says, "I'm going back to the hospital." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Bill's in the hospital. I don't think he's going to make it through the night." And he didn't. Well. I said, "You what? I was just working with him last week,
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was sad.
Yeah. He was such a great guy. Really I love that guy.
Yeah, me too. That would show up with crazy-ass moonshine. And
Did you ever go to that studio?
Oh, yeah.
Did he ever tell you the stories about it?
Some of that stuff, like he showed me the big room where, you know, it was basically like a junk heap at that time, but they used to have these big parties out there. And
that road.
Yeah,
like thinking all those people drinking moonshine and then trying to get out of there at midnight.
Because I guess it was like right across the state line or the county line or something, which let them sell booze.
Right.
Because Nashville, the Davidson County was dry, but whatever county he's in up there was like just over the wet county line. Yeah. And they used
when
to.
I first came to town, they had beer bars that couldn't sell anything but beer, and it was like these weird, convoluted old laws.
Did you like it here back then when you first moved here? Or was
I liked all the people that I met. I met everybody soon, you know, pretty soon because...
That's nice to move to town with an actual gig. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people don't.
Yeah, I was so lucky, right? I didn't have to... I could coast around for 5 years without worrying about it because I had a good, solid gig with really nice people, and it was a well-run organization. It was easy.
Did you eventually quit that band, or did it just sort of?
I did because I got an audition with Patty Loveless, and I got the gig, and I had to quit the Sweethearts.
The Patty Loveless gig was a bigger gig at that point?
Well, she was having big hits, and she was so good. I mean,
that was kind of before she did a lot of more pop.
Yeah, that's why I quit the gig.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, you know, I've been listening to her first couple of records, you know, that she made with Tony Brown, and
she was
those
phenomenal.
Are killer records, man.
Yeah.
It's still fun to listen to.
You didn't play on those records, though.
No, I played on just a couple of songs on Blame It On Your Heart.
Okay.
Blame it on your lying, cheating, cold, dead beating, two-time double dealing, me mistreating, loving hard. Costas wrote that song, and he kept giving me tapes. Kenny, you got to give Patty this tape. This is a hit, man. She has to cut this song. I was like, I already gave it to her, Costas. Well, give it to her again. And I ended up playing on that. Yeah.
Wow.
It was fun. But you know, you're in the studio, you put on your headphones, and the first song, you count the song off, and there's that voice in your head. You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know, like, what a singer.
Do you remember where you were working on stuff like that?
Woodland.
Oh, it was all at Woodland?
Yeah.
No kidding.
We cut that at Woodland. Yeah,
I would have liked to see that place back in the day. I've seen it recently, but it was good.
I did a session there one day with Rodney Crowell. Uh-huh. And so I come in, and he didn't tell me what was going on. I just come in, and I'm setting up my stuff, you know, and there's a chair next to me with a mic for an amp, and, you know, nobody's there. And in walks Steve Cropper, you know, he sets his amp down and gets up, takes out his PV telly, you know, and he looks at me and says, "Hey, can I borrow your tuner? I'm Steve." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And then we go, and there's this guy I don't know on drums, right? And he's pretty good. You know, it's like, man, that guy's a good drummer. You know, and so we go to listen to the playback on the first song. You know, we're standing in the control room, you know, and I'm standing next to the drummer, and he says, "You sound good, man." He said, "I'm Ronnie." And I look at him and say, "Hey." And it's Ronnie Tutt.
Oh, wow.
From Elvis's band, you know.
Wow.
And I'm thinking Ronnie Tutt is flashy show drummer, but you get him in the studio, he's like a
super
great
wow
session player.
What was the record?
I don't remember.
It wasn't like a Cropper thing. He was just playing guitar.
It was a Rodney Crowell album.
Oh, it was a Rodney record.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. He typically didn't. He just called me, "Can you do this session?" Oh, yeah. He didn't tell me any details, and I just showed up.
I did a session with Rodney recently, and it was the same thing, actually.
I did one day with him at Woodland, and it was, I think it was Rodney Crowell session. It was Albert Lee on guitar.
Whoa.
And Albert, you know, showed up from L.A. with his Music Man Albert Lee model and a little rack mount, like, what was it? Eventide or something, like one of those kind of things.
Like that was his whole sound, was like a rack thing.
Yeah, it was just an echo unit or something like that, but it was a big digital model that we would see on a board, you know, like in a rack in a studio, you know. I don't remember for sure if it was a Lexicon or Eventide or something fancy, you know. And I had several amps there, and he had a rental twin from SIR that sounded like shit. I said, "Albert, I got some real amps, some vintage. I got a Fender Vibroverb, a 64 Vibroverb. Would you rather?" And he's like, "Oh, okay." You know, so I plugged it in for him. He says, "Oh, that's better, yeah." He didn't care, you know. Right. Albert Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
So how did the Marty Stuart gig come out? What that came out of the Patty Loveless gig, which you quit because you were
No, I played with a lot of people. I played with after Patty. She started cutting those songs, and I was like, "Oh no,
really?
I can't do this."
Did you walk out of you left that band
at the end of a year? So they have typical those bands play till like.
Were you in the middle though of like making her new record when you?
No, I don't think anything like that. It was. Okay.
You just weren't digging it.
Well, they were going in a direction that I definitely wasn't suited for.
Yeah.
In any way. Sadly. But my wife, I met my wife. She was playing fiddle in that band.
Oh, okay.
And she kept playing with her for 11 years, playing fiddle and singing all the high harmonies. And she's played a little mandolin, not too much with it. And then she's on that album Mountain Soul, which is a great record. So good. Have you ever heard that?
It's a Patty Loveless.
So good.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's an acoustic kind of returning to her Kentucky roots, but it's brilliant. Yeah. It's such a good record. Amazing. It's one of the best records. Came out in the 90s. Maybe it was early 2000s.
Early 2000s, maybe.
Yeah, it was early 2000s. It's so good. And I played with Crowell for a little while, Rodney Crowell, which was really fun. And he wasn't working a lot. And then somehow I got called by Kim Ritchie.
Oh, yeah. I just saw Kim the other night.
That was good. I played with her for 2 years.
Oh, really?
And we had a band,
Yeah.
And she was so good. Her songs are so great. And she was she's still a friend of my family. She still comes over to the house, And then Lucinda Williams, when I was playing with Greg Gehring down at, he was the guy that first guy that started playing downtown. Mm-hmm. Back in those days, the back room at Tootsie's didn't have a roof on it.
Really?
And so you walk in the alley and you're in this room with no roof. And there's a stage there. Yeah. And then you have to walk in these double doors to get actually into Tootsie's.
Okay.
So we could have all ages people, as long as they didn't go into the door.
In the back, the open part.
Yeah. So it was almost like our own little club. Cool. We played down there in the summertime. And Lucinda Williams was enamored with Greg. She was, she'd be right in the front watching him perform, like blowing her mind, with his crazy stuff. He's just amazing. He's probably the most talented guy I've ever worked with. Just incredible. And, all these people were coming down, Raul Malo and all these, groovy folks showing up to, I went down there, I'd heard about him, and Bucky Baxter was standing there talking to him. And Bucky said, "Hey, this is my friend Kenny. You need to get him up to play a song or something." And Greg was like, "Okay." So he calls me up, and I took the guy's guitar and played, and he says, "Stay up here." And so about the third song, he says, "What are you doing tomorrow night?" I said,
"Coming back?
You want me to come back?" He says, 9:00.
Wow.
So I started playing with him for 2 years during the summer. We played down there.
And Lucinda was around. That's how that whole
and she asked me to. She'd been making that record "Car Wheels on a Gravel Road" with Steve Earle and Ray Kennedy here at Ray's place, and she got there was some. I don't know what happened, but
there's a lot of drama with that record.
Yeah, and Gerf was kind of like her Keith Richards. He was kind of the architect of her sound on the record before that. No, I was a big fan of his. I thought he was really good. But anyway, I was still playing with Kim, and there was a blow up, and she asked me to play, for her, and I was like, I really didn't want to.
Had the record already been finished?
It had just been finished. It wasn't out yet.
So you didn't play on that record?
No.
Okay.
No, people think I did, but I didn't.
I thought you did.
I just did the tour for 3 years.
Okay.
Nonstop.
Was it that long?
Yeah, 3-year tour. And
I
I knew her manager, who was a great manager, Frank Colari, the greatest manager. I mean, he was a real manager, like not like a Nashville manager, but he was a real he had been a DJ at Studio 54. He was a music guy. He knew, he was a kind of guy that could really go up against a record company and get the most out of him. He was a real manager, just brilliant guy.
Few and far between these days.
There's never been another one like him since here. He was amazing. But I didn't take the gig at first, and he called me into his office one day. What?
Why?
Well, I didn't want to, I didn't want to be the new Gurf, where's Gurf guy, first of all. And I just kind of, I didn't know, what.
And I get, obviously, like, that record blew up, but at this point, it hadn't.
Frank took me into his office and he says, look, here's what's going to happen. You're going to join this band, and it's going to be just you and the bass player and Lucinda, and you're going to be in a van. And then 9 months from now, you're going to be in a bus, and you're going to have your own room, and everything's going to be great. And, we're going to go from playing little places to big places, And so, when I started, it was just, a van and, the three of us, and then we had another guy. And the four of us, and then we got a drummer, and things started really going really well, and we ended up on a 35. We'd played 35 shows open for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Mm-hmm. So mission accomplished.
Yeah.
It went from really small to really big, and it was really great.
And you got to sort of see the whole. That's wild, actually. That you. Got
it was
to see
really Frank made it happen, man.
Wow.
Of course, he had a great artist with great songs, and I mean, when Tom Petty's cutting your songs,
it's pretty good. That's where your relationship with Mike Campbell started, then.
And Tom, yeah.
Okay.
For whatever reason, they decided that they had their own dressing room. Those two guys, and nobody ever went in there unless they were like. There was never anybody in there but those two cats. And they, hey, look at this guitar.
Call you in into the inner sanctum.
Hang out. Yeah. I'm a foodie. Like I don't eat fast food, and I don't eat bread from America. I eat French bread from France, but it doesn't have Roundup in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I always like nice restaurants, and I've always been a fan of good chefs and all this stuff. We were in the Hamptons, and we had a day off, day off in the Hamptons. Yeah.
That's a good place to have a day off.
And I'm looking at, and back in those days, there were still phone books in the Yellow Pages, and I'm looking at the restaurant menus in the Yellow Pages, on the street that I were in, a fancy hotel and a nice street with all these great restaurants, and I'm like, oh man, I'm going to have a good meal tonight. And I've got the place picked out, and the phone rings in my hotel. It's Tom Petty. He says, hey, man, we pulled the buses around in the back, and Chinner's going to make hot dogs and hamburgers, and we're going to listen to music and sit out and smoke weed under the stars. You should come down. It's like, damn.
Foiled again.
There goes my good meal.
Yeah. It must have been a good hot dog, though.
Oh, well, it was a fun night.
Yeah.
Go down there. They're playing the album 12 by 5 by the Rolling Stones, on their
It's my favorite
boom
Stones
box.
album.
Apparently theirs too.
Wow.
We're sitting out there, just chilling. Nobody gets wild. They're just like relaxing, talking about shit, guitars and music. And it was a fun night.
They were just good pals, eh? Those
nice
two.
guys.
Yeah.
Really quiet people. Very private, very quiet. I don't think they ever felt like they fit in anywhere. They're Florida hippies, Gainesville, Florida guys. And I don't think that they ever saw themselves as being a part of, even though he's in a band with Bob Dylan and George Harrison, I don't think he saw himself as being part of the scene, which is cool.
It is cool. You worked with Mike. He produced that Marty Stuart record.
Yeah, Way Out West. Man, that was fun. We were at... I
love that record.
We were at his home studio, which is where they did a lot of the Wilbury stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at that studio. It's a studio, but it's
in L.A., obviously.
Yeah, Woodland Hills, and it's his house is there, and he's got a guest house, and the studio's kind of built right attached. You can walk through a hallway and get to his house.
Cool.
And he had a lot of his guitars there.
He's probably got a few, eh?
Yeah, and I got to play the one that he used on this hit, and I got to play quite a few of them, and amps. His basic all the amps he uses. The ones he even uses now, they were there.
Wow.
And it was great just to be around him and hanging out. One day, there's a great story. Scruggs and I were sitting on the couch that's in the little room off in back of the control room, and there was one of those Fender Japan-made Bigsby knockoffs, and it looks like a Bigsby, and he had two of them, but this one played really good, and Scruggs was playing it. Scruggs is a monster guitar player.
He is a killer guitar player.
And he's playing it, and I'm playing it. He's playing it, and I'm playing it. So man, this thing's great. And I realized Campbell's standing there watching us. We're both on the couch. He's kind of just nodding his head. And he looks kind of misty eyes, and he says, "You guys like that guitar, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah, man, it's really good." He says, "Yeah, that was George's favorite."
Oh my God.
We're like, George's favorite. Whoa. Like, wow. That's when you're in the right place.
I mean, that album, like there's 25, as you say, 25 years of playing with Marty Stuart, and all those records from the last, particularly
I guess
the
24
ones in the last,
technically, yeah.
Right. But the ones in the last 15 years are the ones I'm the most familiar with, and have this theme of incredible guitar interplay, at least two guitars, usually more. Clearly, Marty Stuart isn't concerned about being a country star anymore. He just wants to make great, cool music. For you, is it kind of an ideal gig to be able to? Oh,
it's been wonderful. Yeah. I mean, Marty knows a lot of people.
Yeah, he does.
Outside of just Music Row.
Yeah.
We got a lot of great people that come see us, first of all, hang out, backstage or whatever. And all that, he goes back to the Lester Flatt days. He went on the road with those guys when he was 13.
That's bonkers.
Back in 1972 or whatever it was, And so he got to see the real, he's riding on the bus with Bill Monroe.
Man.
With the lights out, they're both playing mandolins at, 11 o'clock at night, going down the road, that kind of stuff, just like he knew all those people. Still, if who's ever left, he knows them, And so I got to meet so many crazy people because of him. Jimmy Martin.
Really?
Yeah. Hang out with Jimmy Martin. I could tell you some great stories about that, just
tell me a Jimmy Martin story.
Well, Marty had this friend that was a preacher that had a little tiny country church out by Watertown, and Brother Thomason. One day he says, "Guys, this Sunday we got to go out and help Brother Thomas. And we're going to go out there and just take our acoustic guitars and get up and sing a gospel tune during the service, put on our black suits." And I said, "Okay." So we go out there and Jimmy Martin shows up, and by himself with his cowboy hat and his nice,
amazing,
it's Jimmy Martin. He didn't fit in. It's a real straight white, like probably Baptist or something. Like going back in time. And so at the end of the service, the preacher does that bit where he says, "No, does anybody want to come down and testify?" So some lady goes, "No, give my heart to Jesus, give my soul. I hereby declare," whatever they do. I can't remember what how they word it.
Yeah,
that kind of testify or give my heart to Jesus Christ, accept Him as my Lord and Savior or whatever. That whole thing. And here comes Jimmy down the hallway, down the aisle, and he stands in front of the preacher, and the preacher says, "So you're here to, testify?" "Oh, hell no, I did that a long time ago. I took care of that a long time ago. I just want you all to pray for my surgery next week."
Oh, man.
"Oh, hell no. I took care of that a long time ago." And the preacher's like, you can see his glasses fogging up. He doesn't know who Jimmy Martin is,
Perfect.
So we go to the back room after the service, and the ladies with the covered dishes and the preacher and his wife, sit down at the table with Connie Smith and Marty Stuart, and Jimmy Martin with the preacher and his wife.
Royalty.
And that was interesting because I was at the table next to him, and you could, once again, the preacher and his wife probably were like, "What in the world is this? Who is this? And where is he from? What planet is he from?" he said a couple of things I don't want to say. I'll tell you, but I don't want to say it on the microphone. I got to tell you before we get out of it because it's funny. But man, I was like, what? How did I, Marty Stuart, Marty Stuart world goes in a lot of weird places, But
you've had Dylan drop in on a few shows, I hear, too.
No, not shows. We were at the A room at Capitol in Hollywood working, and he was in the B room.
Okay.
And we were out there for a week, and he just happened to be there at the same time. But Marty and Dylan go back to the 70s.
Yeah.
Marty did part of the Rolling Thunder.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, he sat in on some of those shows. And that white hat that Dylan has, where he's got the white makeup, that Marty gave him that hat.
No way.
Yeah. Anyway, we were wrapping up one evening, probably around 7 o'clock or something, getting ready to go out and get something to eat. Had been done for the day, and the door opens, and in walks Bob. And Marty! And gives him a big hug, he's got his hoodie on, He looks around, and he says, I see you have your whole band here. I'm Bob. I'd met him before, but he didn't remember. And I was like, oh, nice to meet you. And he told some good stories.
Yeah.
It was really great. I'll tell you the story, but I can't tell you on this mic.
All right.
But he looked really good. He's a boxer.
Yeah.
He's clear-eyed.
Age pretty well.
Obviously not I remember reading an interview with him from years ago. And, the guy says, well, did you ever get into drugs? He says, well, not like Eric Clapton. Nothing like that.
It's funny that he held up him as like the poster child for doing drugs.
Like, that's funny, man. What an answer. Put it off on Eric Clapton. Didn't even answer the question. Well, not like Eric Clapton or anything like that, man.
So when you guys make records, these kind of records that are guitar heavy, how long does it take? And
it depends on how much money we're going to spend,
But
what depends on the
Way
budget.
Out West, when you did that with Mike Campbell, like how long did that record take?
I think we knocked that out in a week.
Okay. As far as like all the orchestration of the guitar stuff goes on, because it's like that's what it's all about.
Well, Marty and I hit it off. It's kind of like Keith and Ronnie.
Mm-hmm. Do you talk about it, or do you just?
A lot of times we just start playing, and we just fall into whatever,
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we work shit out, like harmony.
I guess you have to
harmony parts and stuff. When we do some of those twin guitar boogie things, we have to sit down and work on it and practice it. But a lot of it's just unspoken, like that. He won a Grammy for the last year they gave instrumental Grammys.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, he got the last one, and then they quit doing it because who listens to instrumental music? That's not a thing anymore, No. But he got a Grammy for that. Man, that was a song that we cut over at RCA Studio B on the floor live. We weren't even wearing headphones. It was called Hummingbird. It was a tribute to Clarence White. It's BYRD, Hummingbird. And he's playing
because he's got Clarence's guitar,
he's
too.
Playing that guitar, and I'm playing a telly, and Harry's playing drums, and Paul Martin was our bass player at that time, and he was playing bass. And we just drilled it out on the floor one night there, take after take after take until we got it. I think we spent quite a few takes on that, several hours, because it's a fast moving. I don't know if you know the song. It's an instrumental. It's really good. But that was just he just played it for us, and we didn't talk about what I was going to play or what he was going to play.
Okay.
What
about the guitar sounds in particular? Like, do you guys have totally separate rigs, or are they kind of like set up close to each other? Or because they're kind of panned on those records, they seem to be panned pretty widely.
We were probably separated as far as our amps go,
And you usually play through like a deluxe or a Princeton, right?
Normally in the studio, I favor one particular Princeton that I have.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I have two that are really good.
Old 66,
these are
67.
They're both silver-faced.
Okay.
So I think one's a 70 and one's a 71, I think. And I've used those a lot in the last 20 years in the studio.
Okay.
And I really like them.
That would likely be the most common amp you would use. Would be a
but
Princeton.
I have others that I use. But those, The thing about the Princetons, they're easy to carry if you don't have cartage.
Yeah.
And they're, you can throw it in the car and
they break up real
it's
nice.
crazy. You can get so many different kinds. You can play so many different kinds of music,
Yeah, and you certainly don't need more power than that in the studio for any reason.
No, actually, the smaller amps sound bigger.
Yeah.
I learned that way a long time ago, that the littler the amp, the bigger the sound. And that's a really good, they're still pretty loud, but you can get, I've played heavy metal, with my fuzz face and a Strat on those things, and it works.
Totally.
You can get them at almost anything. Campbell always uses his Blackface Princeton and his Tweed Deluxe. That's his rig.
Like that kind of thing.
Yeah. I've got a 57 Tremolux, which is basically that amp in a bigger cabinet with tremolo.
With tremolo. Wicked.
But same circuit.
When you're cutting those records, are they pretty much live off the floor for the most part? Or are you guys doing a lot of overdubs too?
We do a lot of overdubs. It depends on the song. Every song is different. Some songs start out acoustic, guitar and drums and bass and piano or whatever, depending on who's playing with us, And but some are, like Hummingbirds live, just us.
And does he show up with those instrumentals like fully composed, or do you guys all kind of?
Yeah,
he does. Okay,
that was.
There's quite a few instrumentals you do, which are awesome.
Well, we just released that.
I heard
the new album.
I haven't heard it yet, but
20 songs.
Yeah, all instrumental.
Been working on it for over 10 years.
Holy shit!
Yeah, I have 4 on there that I wrote.
Okay,
and
amazing.
4 out of 20 is not bad. And Chris has several on there that he wrote. Harry has several that he wrote on there. And
do you guys play them live quite a bit?
Some of them.
The instrumentals, yeah.
Yeah, some of them we'll probably never play, depending on what Some of them, one of mine I know we'll never play.
Okay,
because it's too complicated.
Does he tour pretty consistently every year? Mm-hmm. So you can always count on just being on the road a certain amount.
Pretty. And
that's a good amount for you, obviously.
Yeah, and it's really well run.
I bet.
Like the bus has been described as freakishly clean.
Really?
And it's quiet.
Yeah.
We don't watch TV.
Yeah.
We don't listen to music. None of that. But
you just walk in.
It's not a party bus. It's really nice.
That helps.
We're the only band in the world that goes on the road to get rest.
I love it. Do you do week-long tours and stuff, or is it mostly
well,
like weekends?
Well, it depends on where you're going.
Back? Yeah.
You go out west, normally you'll stay out there for a couple of weeks if you're going west of the Mississippi.
Okay.
But, east of the Mississippi, this week we're going to do, it's a little bit long for us. It's we're playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday this week.
It's very reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about making your own records? Like you made that one solo record.
I'm working on one.
Which I love. Right. It's a killer record.
Thanks. Though the next one is going to be way different.
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty twangy country-ish record.
This one's going to be.
What's it going to be?
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
It's I take each song individually, and I don't want any of the songs to influence each other. I don't want to use the same concept I just look at the song and I'm how does this song really go?
Have you started it?
Yeah, I've got.
You're sort of chipping away at it.
Yeah, or? Yeah. Okay. I'm still got some work to do, but
instrumental or songs.
I think there's going to be at least one, if not two. It depends.
Yeah,
could be 3. I've got more songs that I'm going to put on there, and I'm just going to see how it stacks up.
Where do you do all that stuff?
Different studios.
Wherever.
Yeah,
it's cool, man.
Whenever I can, scrape money to get something together for a session.
Yeah.
I kind of cast each song with the right players for that song. Trying to do that.
Are you going to do a Blues Hour record?
There's one thing that we play in the Blues Hour that probably be on there.
No, I mean like a record by that band.
Oh, a Blues Hour. I don't think so.
No, it's not that kind of band.
I don't think they're really interested in that.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, it costs money to make records.
I know.
I would love it if we did, but if one of us wins the lottery, maybe we will. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you use flat wounds?
Depending on the guitar.
What's the deciding factor?
Well, it just depends on what I need,
Like, do you keep certain guitars always strung up with flats?
Do you know that all Jazz Masters and Jaguars were shipped with flat wounds from the factory until 1970?
I'm not surprised.
Every single jazz master shipped from the factory with flat ones, 12s.
Yeah.
Wound
12s.
third.
Wow.
And same with the Jaguar. People don't know that, and they don't believe it. They're like, that can't be but that's and all Fender basses were shipped with flat wounds until 1970.
When you play with flats, do you have a wound G?
Yes.
Okay.
Except for I have one Telly that has one of those odd Bigsby bridges that Paul Bigsby made for the Telly, where you take the bridge, everything off, and then it goes on there, and it's look like a swimming pool or something, and the pickup drops into it. It's all one unit, but it doesn't have the dreaded tension bar.
Okay.
I will not play a guitar that has the tension bar.
Okay.
Because it fucks up everything. It wobbles.
Totally.
It goes wobble, wobble. It doesn't have that chorusy, nice scratch sound, Yeah. Tension bars are a bad thing.
They are weird.
That doesn't work. It doubles, if not quadruples, the tuning issues. So the one that Paul designed for the Telly has a straight pull, no tension bar, and that works great, man. It's awesome. And that guitar has a plain third and 3 flat wound strings.
But usually you use a flat wound G.
Yeah, for like on my Jazz Masters and Jaguars.
But on the Strat that I see you play with the Blues Hour,
that's just like 8 strings.
That's regular strings.
I got it set up like Jimi Hendrix with the same set that he used, the Fender 150 set.
Cool.
Which is the set that you bought that was the first set you could buy with a plain G string. This is before Ernie Ball was available. So that was what everybody had. It's 10, 13, 15, 26. Now here's where it gets weird. 32, 38 is your low string.
38?
Yeah, that's what Jimmy used. And
really?
He was tuned down sometimes.
Holy shit.
And he's got a 38.
He was tuned down all the time, wasn't he?
No, he tuned some, there's one where he's down to D.
Whoa.
And there's a lot where he's at E flat. And there's some when he's tuned to standard.
Okay. Wow, trippy.
I mean, it's his touch, man.
Yeah.
But that was just the set you bought. And he was of that era. Well, that's, he didn't have single strings available, In Denver, there was a steel guitar store, Don Edwards Guitar City, and that was the first time I saw single strings available. And I was like, wow, this is amazing, because for steel players, there was no,
no sets.
Standard steel guitars set, because the steel guitars were changing by the week.
Yeah.
The way, all the different pedals and knee levers. And
do you have any tricks for miking your amps when you're in the studio to get a great sound?
No,
you just
I
stick
don't
a
have
mic
any
in front
tricks.
of it and go?
Yeah, I don't. I'm not an engineer, and
that's cool, because your tones on those records are so good. Your solo record, but also the Marty Stuart record.
No, thanks. Well,
but it's just.
I have the luxury of working with good engineers.
Yeah,
and I have to sometimes tell them, turn up the treble, man. Because in Nashville, I get called for sessions. We're gonna do kind of a traditional thing on this, Kenny. And I get there and it's like, this isn't traditional. Isn't anything but, but, I go with it,
Yeah.
But it's, traditional wouldn't sound like that. It would be much more trebly. Listen to Buck Owens records, man. Those are trebly.
Yeah, they are.
But it's awesome.
When I first saw you play, it was over at the 12 South Tap Room.
Oh, yeah.
Which was really cool. I don't know, 10 years ago maybe or something.
Yeah, at least.
And I saw you there quite a few times, like maybe 4 or 5 times, and you always played, I'm pretty sure it was a Princeton, but you always stuck a backpack in front of it. And I don't know if that was just
that room was awful.
Okay.
That was a terrible room to play in, because there was so much hard surfaces, the glass and metal, and the dimensions of the room. It was treble central.
So the backpack was just to mitigate the
treble. I was my guitar case, so one of the soft guitar cases. I just lay it
like a gig bag.
Yeah, gig bag. I would just put it up there to soften the volume in the treble.
Because man, your sound in there was insanely good.
Well,
but that was probably.
I still do that sometimes. I do that at D's.
Do you?
Yeah, I set it there so the guy can get my guitar in the house more.
So you put a mic up to the grill, and then you put a gig bag kind of around.
Just to soften the blow of the cone, Cause
And then do you crank the amp usually? I wondered if that was your thing. Like
if you wanted
it on 10, but you.
No, I don't. I've never turned. I rarely have ever cranked an amp all the way up. They're usually around somewhere right between 4 and 5.
Okay.
You know, and then I've got I use one of those exotic EP boosters.
Yeah. Hit the front end a little harder.
Just barely on. It's always on, but it's hardly turned up.
Yeah.
It's like it just adds a little bit of extra
I know what you mean. Yeah.
mid-range and sort of just it just sounds better, you know.
Yeah.
I love that.
You just
that pedal.
hit that pedal and leave it on the whole time.
It's always on.
Yeah.
And
you get into some freaky shit though too. You've got some crazy effects going up there.
Oh well, yeah, I use an echo unit, and I've got one of those. I really like that. What's the LA guitar player's name that's so good? I can't think of his name. My wife played with James Taylor, who was a guitar player.
Like Michael Landau.
Yeah, Landau has that. I can't remember. It's a blue pedal, and it has
I don't know.
It's a switch. It goes between chorus and Univibe.
Oh yeah.
So I can't remember what he calls that, but they built it for him. MXR, I think, has it, and it's great. What a great pedal, man!
Is that what you use for that sort of Univibe Hendrixy thing? Mm-hmm. That's that. Okay.
Yeah, it's really good. It's the best one I've played through.
It sounds
because he worked in tandem with it. You know, he has such a great chorus sound, and that's his pedal.
And you've got a fuzz. What's your fuzz preference?
I like the Band of Gypsies fuzz that Dunlop makes. That's my favorite one. I have the one that I got in 68 or 69. I still have that. It's very problematic because it reacts to humidity and temperature, both.
That's a little unpredictable.
Yeah, it's really unpredictable. But when it's right, it's really right. But I don't use it anymore. I still have my box tone bender that I bought in the 60s.
No shit.
It's great.
And that thing's probably worth a fortune by now.
Yeah, it was in a fire.
Oh, yeah.
But it doesn't look very good, but it still works fine. It only suffered cosmetic damage. I also have a Fender Bassman, I think it's 63 or 62 or 63, I can't remember, separate head and cabinet.
Awesome. That
was in that same fire, but Todd Sharp was able to resurrect it. Friend's place where we were rehearsing, and there was a fire there, and some of my stuff got damaged. But he brought it back to life.
Amazing.
I took it. The knobs were all melted off.
Really?
Yeah. So he had to replace the knobs, but he didn't. We didn't mess with the cut. It looks like it was in a war, but it still works. So we just left it like that. I said, "Don't."
Probably looks amazing.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Well, thanks for doing this, man.
Thank you.
That's a lot of stuff. Sorry to take up so much of your time, but I really appreciate it. I love your plan. And
oh man, thank you. I want to come see you.
Please do.
Because Richard, and I've known Richard a long time. What always got me out of a scrape in the studio were two things. What would Mike Campbell do? What would Richard do?
Yeah.
Between those two things, I can realign my brain. If things aren't going well, I'm not playing what I should be playing. Mm-hmm. I just pick one of those guys and try and imagine that I'm them. And that's...
Have you played with Richard much?
A little bit. In the studio only. What a great guy.
He's such a nice dude.
Such a great player.
Yeah.
Amazing musician. Just amazing brain and the way he thinks. I actually worked on some tunes live up at George's place, George Bradford's.
Me too, with him recently.
Yeah. He always has the scores.
Yep.
The three
like 4-page
taped together, and you're trying to figure out how to keep it on your music stand, And never numbers, always letters, and which I love. Uh-huh. And because it's guitar, it's like, yeah. And this one, he had a Les Paul standard. He's reading his solo. He has got it scored. Every note and every take. I'm looking over and there's Richard, just, glued to that chart. And it looks like a little kid over there,
Yeah.
I'm like, God damn.
Well,
what a guy.
We do these Hawaiian tunes from the 20s and 30s that he loves that stuff, that's why he joined the band was like.
Oh, I know.
He heard that we were doing it.
Yeah, Dave told me, Dave got him in the band.
Yeah.
It's like, who can we get to play? He said, Richard.
And he composes these little songs within songs almost on the ukulele that are phenomenal songs amongst themselves.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
Let alone the fact that they're in this other song. It's like this whole other thing happens. And it's all very intricately worked out.
Richard's amazing.
And
what a freak.
Yeah. It's so great. You do a fair amount of sessions these days, don't you? Or not really?
Not as many as I used to.
Okay.
I mean, I did one on Easter.
Yeah.
Because it was the only day I was.
Do you get asked a lot and you turn them down because the music's not what you want to do? Or you just,
I think I'm pretty much vibed myself out of getting called by those people because they know I'm not one of them. I never really was. I never was one of them.
But you were in the shit of it, though.
Yeah, but I was never one of them,
Okay.
They knew it, I thought outside of the box too much, and I didn't buy into it, that it was good. And those guys actually were trying to pretend that it was good.
Yeah.
And there's a difference, They knew that I knew that it wasn't good. And they didn't like that. Because, I would say shit, it's like, I'd make fun of stuff. And,
Would you, like right there, like in front of the artist?
Not in front of the artist.
Okay.
But the guys on the floor sometimes were annoyed because they'd like to think that what they're doing is good.
Yeah.
Because they do it 5 days a week,
There must be some people that love the music that are, but maybe not.
I don't know.
The impression I always get is that
a lot of those guys, some of those guys are like really not very cool, and they actually do think it's cool, and because it's a club, you're in a.
It is a small group of people that do it.
It's a boys' club, and they hang out together and they go out to the lake on the boat, and do that shit. I would never get on a boat, fuck that. No way. You kidding me? With you idiots, I wouldn't want to hang out with those guys, They're not, I'm from a different world,
Yeah. Music Makers and Soul Shakers is a bi-weekly podcast produced at the Hen House Studio in Nashville, Tennessee. Please remember to subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You can also find us at makersandShakerspodcast.com. Thanks again to our amazing sponsors this season. We couldn't do this without them. Larrivee Guitars, Chase Bliss Pedals, Fab Filter, Odyssey Headphones, Railtown Mastering, Isotope, and the Hen House Hang. And of course, you for listening. We'll see you next time for another episode of Music Makers and Soul Shakers.